Good evening. Thank you so much for choosing Mwangaza 4 p.m. briefs and welcome to our bulletin this evening. My name is Kelvin Kariba. And now, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recovered 2 assets worth 614 million in Mombasa, hitting a record of 13 billion assets recovered in a span of 3 years. The asset, which involved 1.7 acres of Moi International Airport land worth over 104 million Kenya shillings, a public land at Buxton that comprises of Hobley Estate worth over 400 million Kenya shillings in Mombasa. EACC CEO Abdi Mohamed said the 2 assets were recovered after long court battle, which allowed the commission to initiate process of handing over the land back to the rightful owners.
In the year 2024, which was last year, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission got orders for the recovery of this property. The property at the moment is valued at about 500 million Kenya shillings, and we recovered it after a court process. And right now, as you can see, it will be used for the construction of affordable housing. Some of the challenges, the major one, of course, is the delay in court. You know, the delay, the period it takes for these properties to be recovered from the time of investigation all the time up to the time when we get the orders may at times take too long. You saw us handing over some property in Nairobi, the Karura Forest property, where we were in court for over 20 years. But the law allows us to engage in what we call alternative dispute resolution. In 2009, when we filed this case in court, we got the judgment in June this year. So this property is estimated to cost about 104 million. It is 1.7 acres. It belongs to the Kenya Airport Authority, but had been allocated to another person who again transferred it to another individual. Many counties where we are investigating misuse of public funds, misappropriation of public funds, and other offenses that were committed within the counties that we are investigating. But at the moment, we don't want to say we are investigating Governor X or Governor Y, because even those people who are under investigation have right to privacy and right to to be investigated without necessarily blowing things out of control.
In total, for the past 3 years, around 1.3 billion Kenya shillings. As you are aware, there were properties which were recovered a while back ago, like some houses in Kizingo, and we had properties which were recovered which were over 2 billion Kenya shillings, which includes the famous park that is here in Mombasa.
And looking at education, intern teachers in Siaya County have issued a stern warning to the government demanding full-time employment before the end of this year. Speaking during a press briefing in Siaya Town, the intern teachers led by their chairman Lawrence Seda said failure to absorb the 20,000 interns into permanent positions will cripple science education in junior secondary schools starting January 2026. The interns insisted that they signed 1-year contracts and rejected claims that their terms were renewable for 2 years.
Today we are assembled here to talk to the government to see the plight of intern teachers who have served for 1 whole year, and they are very anxious, they have anxiety, they don't know what is going to happen to them when the year comes to an end. As a union, we are demanding that the teachers who have been employed on internship from the beginning of this year be confirmed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very difficult for an individual who is earning 17,000 to survive a whole month. It is important that the government fast tracks the confirmation of the teachers who are on intern to ensure that learning continues when the year begins next year, 2026.
Today, We are telling the government that we only sign 1-year contract, a non-renewal, non-year contract, not 2 years contracts as always be purported by the president. Mongoose power! Mongoose power! Mongoose power! To the government again, we are aware that there are letters circulating online being supplied by the MPs. What I am asking, where is the money for this particular activity coming from? And yet they are saying there is no money to confirm the 20,000 interns. Mongoose power! Mongoose power! To all parents countrywide. I repeat, to all parents countrywide, there will be no science teacher come January in your JSS schools if the government will not confirm the 20,000 interns. Mongoose power! Mongoose power! Mongoose power!
As we speak, even from right now, it is also confirmed that there is the application going on right now, and so many teachers have really applied for this particular replacement. Before the government replaced the teachers that had already left, want this government to confirm the 20,000 teachers. Mongoose power! Mongoose power! Let the government confirm the 20,000 teachers before doing the replacement for the teachers who are not there right now.
And a team of Kenya's human rights activists visited Kango Jaramogi in Bondo to pay homage at the gravesite of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, while issuing sharp calls for accountability over what they termed as rising repression in East Africa, led by the Executive Director of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Mr. Davis Malombe. They say that what is currently happening in Tanzania is a state of repression that needs to be stopped.
And we are here because Baba was a human rights defender who was violated, tortured, and still carried on the struggle. Baba was a believer in democracy, and he led us in fighting for the Constitution 2010 that continues to protect us. Baba was a whistleblower. He blew the whistles on very many corruption scandals in this country. Baba was many things, and even as Tanzania faces the atrocities it is facing, I think today Kenyan civil society have written to African Human Rights Mechanism to come in and speak. So we are here to pledge that we will continue the good legacy of Baba, the human rights defender, the whistleblower, the Pan-Africanist, the feminist.
And just in recognition of the important role that Baba played in terms as a vanguard of democracy, good governance, human rights and social justice, because our work revolves around the issues that he fought so hard for with so much resilience and courage, and it's really to just give also our appreciation to the family, and also to say that even as much as Baba is gone, the spirit and the vision that he had for a free Kenya, liberated Kenya, for the third liberation, that we continue with that agenda in the work and interventions that we continue to do in terms of governance and human rights protection.
What is happening in Uganda, in Tanzania, is a state of repression which is targeting not just Kenyans but also other residents. So we are looking at this as part of the broader issue of transnational repression, and we are therefore calling for accountability on Suluhu, because its conduct actually is a gross violation of human rights, and also this idea of also mismanaging elections, and then when people contest the outcome, you also violate their rights. It's also something we are looking into. So as actors in that space, actually we are calling for the International Criminal Court to intervene, because we understand the national reconciliation mechanisms are not able to investigate atrocities committed by a sitting head of state in Africa. We have seen that in Kenya over Kibaki, and we have also seen that in other countries. So we are calling for truth, justice and accountability, and as actors we have also refused these other mechanisms she's proposing, because they are part of whitewash and cover-up.
And Kakamega County has reported a worrying rise in HIV infections among adolescents under the age of 19, prompting a renewed call for comprehensive sexual education. Speaking during the official launch of the 16 Days of Activism Gender-Based Violence, the governor's spouse, Janet Barasa, urged communities to join hands in promoting sexual health awareness among young people. She noted that limited access to sexual education remains a major hurdle in efforts to curb new HIV infections.
Visa hapo nyuma vilikuwa vingi vya dhulma, na ndio maana tunashirikiana na partners kila wakati kuhamasisha raia na jamii kwa ujumla kwamba tukomeshe hivi visa vya dhulma za kijinsia. Tuna 2 safe houses, moja ambayo iko Shinyalu na nyingine iko Chekalini, na hapa wale ambao wamedhulumiwa wanaenda hapo kuishi kupata usaidizi, matibabu, na pia to go through social psychological support ili waweze kurudia hali yao ya maisha ya kila siku. Katika hizi siku 16 tungependa kuona kwamba jamii nzima, sisi wote tumejumuika kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna visa vya dhulma katika jamii, hasa hakuna mambo ya SGBV, hakuna mambo ya HIV infections, na hakuna mambo ya teen pregnancy.
Kwa wale ambao hujipata kwa hii shida, huwa tunawatibu bure, kwa sababu wengi wao sio kutaka kwao wadhulumiwe na wale wababa ambao wako na tabia mbaya kule chini. Kwa hivyo hatuitishangi sana matibabu kuweza kuwashughulikia. Hata wakati wanaenda kuripoti kwa polisi, pia polisi hawawaitishi kitu chochote, kwa sababu hiyo ni huduma kamili kwa wale ambao wamedhulumiwa.
Tunaona wakati First Lady wetu Professor Janet Barasa amechukua hii kama mojawapo ya interventions za yeye kusimamia kama champion, visa za dhulma za kijinsia zimeanza kupungua, visa za mimba za mapema zimeanza kupungua, na hata tunaona kwamba mikakati imewekwa kupunguza visa vya virusi za ukimwi.
And that is all for now. Thank you so much for keeping it tuned and have a nice evening.